This is Cibola High School, and I'd like your comments about this show as you watch it. This is Director Dean Moore, Assistant Director is Megan Burkett. Their program is entitled The Planets by Gustav Holst. This should be pretty awesome. Drum majors Chris Taff, Michael Woodson, and Janessa Quintana. And our design staff is Patricia Moore, Music, Dean Moore, Visual, Oren Keene, Percussion, and Auxiliary taught by Megan Burkett. Cibola High School, Dean Moore, director.
Cibola High School.
Cibola High School Band, Div 1, and the director is Dean Moore, and we heard from The Planets by Gustav Holst. And our guest on the webcast here of ASU Band Day is Dr. Wayne Bailey, who's an expert at all of these things, the music, the marching band aspect of it, the outdoor aspect of it, and he's also an administrator at the college level for years. Let's talk about design teams. Like, how do you put together something like we saw just now?
Right. One of the things as we were watching the last several bands here that struck me was they began their design process, obviously, with picking great music. We just heard composers like Bach, Beethoven, Bernstein, Gustav Holst with this last group. So in putting together the show, the designers begin with the musical idea. And then when they pull their team together, their visual team together, they're all working from the music itself first, from the climactic moments, the form of the music, how the music might be best visually displayed.
Right. Okay, you come with the musical idea. You know that I've done this before, but you're my favorite explainer of things. So you come in with the musical idea, the visual people get involved, and then there's this thing, and it's creation by committee. And we're used to things like choreographers and composers. This sounds a lot more like Broadway to me. In other words, when a team gets together to make a movie or Broadway or musicals. So this is something that we don't think about. A bunch of creative people that are very opinionated sitting in a room together and coming to agreement. That's a real eye-opener for me when I started doing things in this field. How do they get along?
Well, there always has to be one person, just like a Broadway show, that ultimately has to make a decision. But if that person is doing their job well, just like administrating anything, they will pick a team of people who are very talented, who have great ideas, bring those ideas together, and it's that person that's in charge, and in our case here, it's the band director at the school, usually. It's that person's decision then to pull together the main idea and draw from all of these ideas of the team. And in the end, make sure all of those things are meshing together. And as you know, during the course of the season, the shows evolve. We don't put a show out here the first week of August
right.
that stays exactly the same all the way to the middle of November. As we do various shows, and we can take a look at them and say, well, that's not working quite well. Let's go back to the design team. Let's go back to the choreographer and say, what else can we do that might be more visually appealing? And that's one of the reasons we have competitions throughout the season. We take the judges' comments and then make some changes as our show progresses. So, for the parents watching, you might think about this as a progression during the course of the season here. The show really should change and evolve, because that means the director and the design team are looking at what works, what doesn't work, and trying to build their show and make it stronger as the season goes along.
That's awesome. I think the only thing we have on the 1st of August is a lot of hope. All over the country, it's the same way. It's like, our hope this works. But the other part that you just mentioned is the concept of rewrites. And when people are young and they spend a lot of hours creating or ruminating on something and finally getting it created, then they start to feel ownership of their idea. And that's a big one for young people to learn, that you've got to give it up sometime for the benefit of the whole. And that's a huge learning process, and why we're lucky in our area to have so many active high schools, that you can learn to do this instead of on the big stage in a smaller division, coming up to Division I later on, to 5A and that sort of thing, because that's a hard thing to give up your ego.
Right, and as each of the design team member really does have to do that sometime during the course of a year. I remember the number of, I used to do a lot of arrangements for various marching bands around the country, and I was always surprised when something didn't quite work out the way I thought it was going to sound right, and I hear from the director who say, this doesn't quite work, can you do something different? And you're right, you have to give up on that of, this is my idea, and adjust it to what will work with that particular group of kids.
Right.